Hi, how's it going? Today we're going to be talking about stem cells and cell differentiation. So our focus for today, we have three main questions. What are stem cells? Why are they special? And how do cells become different? So we have a couple key vocabulary words we want to focus on. One being stem cells, differentiation, and the idea of how cells become different. So those are our three focuses today. So first, right off the bat, we're going to start with the definition of stem cells. So you might want to recall that cells are the smallest living unit. But specifically, what are stem cells? So this week we've been talking about growth and development, and in growth and development you have some special cells that have the ability to become any cell. Ability to become any cell type. So what are some examples? So any of the cells that were in the morula are considered undifferentiated. That means they can become things like arm cells, muscles, nervous, and other types of tissue. So what would be some examples? The morula, placenta. There are also stem cells in your bone marrow that have the potential to become any red blood cells or white blood cells. So just to recap, stem cells are cells that have the special ability to become any cell type in the body. So now that we know what stem cells are, what makes them so special, they have a lot of uses because they have the potential to become any cell. So this could be really important for making organs that are not rejected. One of the biggest issues in health is rejection, and if you would basically just grow your own body, these could be used for immortality in some sense, and regeneration. So the goal behind these is that they're really special because they have a lot of medical applications. Medical and health applications. And lastly, the last point I wanted to make it what allows differentiation. So if you think about a cell, cells that are eukaryotic have a special trait and they have a nucleus. So all of these cells that are considered potent or able to differentiate have a nucleus. And in that nucleus contains DNA. So recall DNA, it's your double helix. It's your ladder of life, the instructions, the code for every day. And this DNA, different parts can code for different things. So for example, this blue section might code for eye color. And this red section might code for hair color. So eye color would be expressed in areas like the eye, but not hair color, which would only be expressed in areas like the head, armpits, etc. And that would be a reason why you couldn't use all the DNA, because different parts code for different regions. And what is that called? That's known as gene expression, where all the cells have the instructions for life. They have DNA. They have the same DNA. So what makes you you is that you have your DNA, but each cell only uses part of the instruction. And because they're only using part of the instruction, that allows them to become so many different types of cells. So for example, this can include things like eye cells, so the ability to see. You make a protein called rhodopsin. If you're a red blood cell, it allows you to get things like hemoglobin. And if you're an antibody from an immune cell, that allows you to fight off infections. So what do some of these cells look like? I'll show you in the next slide. So I basically just wanted to highlight two types of cells that you're actually going to read about. One is neurons, and these are part of your nervous system. And they're special cells. They're shaped like stars with a long skinny part and extensions coming off of them. And these are called neurons. And these are special because of their dendrites and axons. Down here, you have the synapses, and you also have the axon. So this is a very different cell from something you might find in your immune system, such as the B and T cells, which are structured to release something called antibodies. So these guys are generally more blobby, and these guys they're blobby to deal with secretion. They make proteins, they engulf things, they keep your body clean, as opposed to the neuron, which is a kind of like a long telephone wire, so a long communication device. And so basically the point behind all of this is that cells' shape or their structure is linked to function. And that's what we're going to be exploring next week. Next week we're going to be looking at labs, and in two of those labs we're going to be looking at different types of cells across organisms. So we'll be looking at things like bacteria versus animals and plants. And we'll also be looking at the specifics within an animal. So what makes a neuron cell or nervous tissue different than others. And so we'll go more into this idea of the dendrites and the axon. And we'll also touch on the idea of how immune cells are different and that they're able to fight off infections. So the immune system. So all three of these topics help talk to you about the idea that cell shape is linked to their function, and it also talks about the idea of pluripotency in stem cells and their ability to become all kinds of cells. So in summary, just to wrap up, what are the big topics for today? We learned that stem cells have the ability to become any type of cell. And some of those types of cells that are made special are things like neurons, B and T cells. And we also learned that stem cells are helpful in medicine and health. And lastly, what we learned about through stem cells and all cells in general is that structure is related to function. What you look like is related to your job. So that wraps us up for this week, and talking about following up on this idea of growth and development and focusing on this idea of differentiation and having a decision about who you're going to be in life. So this is important not only for cells but also yourself, and specializing and deciding kind of where life path is going to take you and what you want to do. So it's been great. It's been grand. I look forward to working with you in class. Again, if you have any questions about this lecture, please be free to shoot me an email. Look forward to working with you soon. Take care.